So from Florida, motorcycle enthusiast based on his LinkedIn picture, to talk about why e-commerce is hard in regulated industries, South Beach Brands, Mike Wattier.
Hello, everybody. I'm Mike. My job title is just Mike. Nothing. I appreciate everybody being here. I appreciate Shopware putting this together. Nothing brings tech people together like beer. So, yeah, I do work in a regulated industry. Hold the mic closer. Okay. I work in a regulated industry. We sell vape. Vape devices. I know I saw some of you outside with them. Imagine you go to work tomorrow, and out of the 44,000 zip codes in America, you find out that you're only allowed to ship to 16,000 of them. Imagine the day after that, you're told that you can't advertise on social media. You can't run pay-per-click ads. All of a sudden, you just start to realize that you have to be really good at what you do with the customers that come to your site. You have to be really good at a lot of things, better than other people. There's nothing that I'm really going to be able to share with a lot of you in that respect, right? Because there's not a lot of you that are in this kind of regulated industry. But regulations do impact everybody in some way. For example, CCPA. How many of you have cookie banners on your site? How many of you have realized that cookie banners impact your conversion rates? How many of you have looked at your analytics recently and saw that not set go up by 10% every single month, and so you don't really know who your customers are anymore? What's your ROAS anymore? Because you don't know necessarily, because regulations have made it more and more difficult. There's a lot of thinking that goes into some of these regulations. I'm not here to debate any of what the regulations are trying to enforce or change, or any of the behaviors that they're trying to curb, or what they're trying to do. My job as an e-commerce manager is to take these realities that we have on a day-to-day basis and turn them into revenue. That's my job. Take what we have left and turn it into a working business model that we can continue to operate and pay the people that we know and love that work next to us. That's awful difficult sometimes. The biggest thing that I can share with you about the takeaway from that, what is it that you're going to learn from someone who works in a highly regulated industry? What's your infrastructure look like? What's your stack look like? This is really the core of everything that you're going to do. Did you know in 2026, maybe 2025, maybe next year, California is going to amend the CCPA to make browser manufacturers, browser coders, right, block all cookies? What's that going to do? How do you pivot? How do you segment? Are you going to just trust these third-party providers that are telling you that their algorithms are the best ones for your business model? I question a lot of these algorithms that are black box algorithms that are telling us that theirs is the best. How do they know what my customers want? How can someone who is in a fashion industry, or someone who is selling widgets, or someone who is selling something to just crazy niche down markets that we're all in, because every one of us is in here in a different market, right? How do we share the same algorithm and achieve the optimal output? How is that possible? I think a lot of these vendors, and now look, I'm not anti-AI or anything like that. I'm not anti-machine learning, and I'm not any of that, right? I'm just saying that there are a lot of realities that the people in this room as decision makers in this market have to make in the very near future, right? How can a fashion site share the same conversion rate as me? I can tell you right now that it doesn't happen. For example, what if you had to put an age check in your checkout like we do, right? That means every single checkout, every single customer has to upload an ID to a third-party service to verify that they are actually 21 years old. What's your conversion rate now? Are you still running at 5%? Is anybody running at 5% right now? I can tell you that ours ranges anywhere between 1.5 and 4%, depending on how much discount we run, because there is a pain point that people will suffer if you offer a big enough discount. But then what happens to your customers at that point, right? What happens to your customers? Do they get trained on your discount? Do they start waiting? And so your first, second week, third week sales are just abysmal because they're waiting for that fourth week sales when they know they have pressured you collectively. It's a conspiracy to force you into that 30% discount that you just don't want to run, but you got to generate that revenue because it's the last day of the quarter, right? I mean, this is the reality of where we are as e-commerce people, right? So how do you take that lesson from a regulated industry where literally every part of what you think is great about your conversion funnel is taken away from you? One, we're good at SEO. I mean, I'm just going to say we have a great SEO team. I think some of them are here today, but and no, I didn't say that just because they're here. We have to be very good at SEO. We have to be very good at the inbound. We have to be very good at the micro conversions, right? Micro conversions are what's going to save you through the coming days as the landscape changes. How many of you have looked at your SEO reports and noticed that Google is leeching your keywords to send them to the merchant center? How many of you have noticed that, like, your number one keyword, the irony for us, for example, is we have a couple of keywords. I'm not going to tell you what they are. I'm not that open. But we have a couple of keywords that we dominate for, right? And those keywords, actually, Google, in their whole recent AI stuff that they've been doing, started redirecting those to a completely AI interface in the merchant center, right? The ironic thing is about it, we're not allowed to sell those products in the merchant center. So the people who were getting those results were not getting the products that they were looking for. AI is not that smart, but we still have to deal with it, right? It's here. It's not going away. No matter how, I mean, my mom sends me an email telling me that she loves me, and Google's saying, would you like me to summarize this email? It's a lot of inconsistencies in the market that we have to deal with. So how do we deal with it? We deal with it by reevaluating our platform every 6 months. We reevaluate every part of our business process and every part of our business model, and every one of our business partners is on a 6-month evaluation. Doesn't matter how long of a contract we sign with everybody. As business owners, as business decision makers, we have to take that kind of step to ensure that we're doing the right thing all the time. The next thing is it's about data. And I know PIMCore is going to love me for saying this, but it is about data. Not just your product data. Sorry, guys. It's not just about your product data. How many of you as business leaders, as decision makers, can tell me or tell your team how many characters should be in an address? What is the longest address in America? 64 characters. How clean is your data? How niche can you truly go with the products that you sell? We sell Delta products, Delta 8, Delta 9, stuff like that, right? We can ship that almost anywhere in the United States, except for 3 or 4 zip codes in the city of Denver, right? The city of Denver said that you can't sell Delta edibles. Now you can sell Delta disposables there, but you can't sell Delta edibles there. This is the type of targeted regulations that people come out with. We deal in 33 jurisdictions and 16,000 zip codes, and every one of them has a different tax code. Every single one of them. Every single state has a different tax. There's excise taxes, sales taxes, right? Other people who are in the regulated industries understand, or you're selling gasoline or guns and ammunition. Guns are easier to sell online than it is to sell vape these days. You know what I mean? It's the kind of thing where you have to be adept at understanding what your data is telling you, not from a Google Analytics standpoint, because Google Analytics is not going to save you either. The future of what everybody in this room is, especially in mid-market, if you're 5, 10, 15, 20 million a year and more, if you're not looking at data lakes, if you're not looking at a data warehouse, if you're not bringing that stuff in-house, if you're not bringing data from SEMrush, from Search Console, from GA4, from your e-commerce, from your warehouse, what's your rate of sale? How did your positioning impact your rate of sale? We have a product that we rank number 6 for, and we sell more at number 6 or number 7 than we do when we're number 1. Sorry. There are sweet spots for every type of product, because every type of product attracts a specific type of consumer, and every specific type of consumer has a different decision-making process. And if you're not in tune with that, if you don't have a way to look at your website like this, what's your positioning? What's your search engine rank, right? How many views did it get? How many clicks did it get before it even got to your website? Once you got to your website, how many views did a product page get? How many add to carts did it get? What's your view ratio to add to cart ratio? How many people do you have to send to a particular page? And then you do this with 6,000 SKUs. Data and how we process it. Now, this is where AI does help. It can help you find some of the bumps and bruises and stuff like that, because nobody in this room has any time whatsoever to look at 6,000 lines of data, right? Over the coming 2 years, you're going to go through a lot of changes. Businesses that, e-commerce people who still believe that it's just about delivering a product are not going to win against the people who understand that it's about the data that you're generating and how you consume that data, how you measure it, and how you act upon it, get it in the hands of the people who can actually do something with it. So that's what I share with you today from the regulated industries.